recording.
Just noticed. All right. You got their mic on. Calling this meeting to order. We got 4 o'clock. Can we please do Pledge of Allegiance, Director Calleguas?
Yes. Yeah. And on your heart, let's begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Can we please have a roll call?
Director Quady is absent. Director McMillan,
Here.
Director Pacala,
Yes.
Director Robert,
Here.
Director Avila.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. Hey, do we have members of the public? We do. Okay. This portion of the agenda may be utilized by any member of the public to address the board of directors on any matter within the jurisdiction of the board that does not appear on the agenda and on matters that are on the agenda but are not designated as action items. Depending on the subject matter, the board of directors may be unable to respond at this time or until the specific topic is placed on the agenda at a future Calleguas board meeting. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, please limit remarks to 3 minutes. If you would like to make public comment, please raise your hand. Okay, we have no raised hands. Okay, do we have items to be added to the agenda?
No,
Items to be added to the agenda. Up next, has everybody had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes, Mr. President, I do have questions on item 6 B and C.
Okay. And there is one. Which item is it? 8A2. That we will be moving to a future board meeting. And 8 Alpha 8, we will be moving to the end of the board meeting as well. Okay, do we have any presentations today? None. Okay, up next, we have the consent calendar. I know we have questions on 6B and 6 Charlie. Can we go ahead and kick it off on 6 Bravo? Go ahead, Director Pacala.
Well, before I start, if other board members have any questions, I'll leave first. If nobody has any questions, I'll take my questions. I have several of those.
I just have one question on aquatic bioassay. Is that the 3-tier test? Is that what it is?
Which one is that?
I'm sorry, it's aquatic bioassay on page 3 of the payment register.
The aquatic bioassay. Top of page 3 of that.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Just is that the 3-tier, 3 species determination for the most sensitive?
Yeah.
That is. All right. Okay, thank you. Just might have one more. Inomotics. Never heard of them, that's all.
Inomotics.
Yeah, they're just a part source.
Which page is that?
I'm sorry, page 8.
Page 8, Inomotics.
Fancy pump station.
Branson Pump Station, pump number 4 parts.
That was for a PLC board replacement for a controller. Was the major cost of that. So whenever they go out, we do have to replace the boards instead of replacing the entire unit.
Okay, so these are electronic board.
That's a programmable logic controller.
Okay, thank you.
Somewhere.
Good.
Yeah, thank you, Director Quady. Director Pacala.
Thank you, Mr. President. On page 2 of the register, there are 2 payments for all connected. One for virtual server upgrade at about $8,000. The other one is for disaster recovery services at about $8,900 for month of March. My question is, disaster recovery services are charged monthly or virtual server update costs are also billed monthly? Or is it one-time charge?
Yeah, I don't know, Dan, do you happen to know those? If not, Wes Rich, Center Manager IT is out this evening, and we are happy to get those answers for you.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna know those on the top of our head.
Disaster recovery would be a monthly charge.
Oh, it is a monthly charge.
That's why it says March 2026.
Okay.
So we do it every month. We put the month on there.
So it's ongoing. Every month we have the same ongoing charges.
That's gonna be the backup tapes, doing the backups,
All right,
making sure the offline or offsite
okay,
is up set up.
thank you. On the same page, it lists the 3 monthly payments of $8,600, approximately $8,700 each, made to All Tech Industries Incorporated for security services. So Calleguas spends more than $100,000 annually for security services. So my question is, given multiple security cameras that we are buying, we have several other actions we are taking for securing our facilities.
Altech is the IT. Altech is for the computers, the IT.
You want to take it?
Go ahead.
3 employees living on site and 24/7 monitoring at the control room. Can we reduce the scope of work for security services? Can we reduce the scope of work for security services?
We will look at the possibility of trying not to say too much in a public forum on our security, but we will look at what options we have on the services provided by Alltech once everything is completed.
Very good. On page 4, which includes approximately $14,000 payment to B&R Supply Incorporated for a compact light tower generator. So how many tower generators are currently in use at Calleguas? Is this the only one we have?
It's the only one that we have, and it's the first one that we've purchased.
So how did we do night work in the past?
Portable lights that stand up and run off of a generator. So this is a generator light combo. So we have power at the source. It powers the light. It provides better lighting during the evening as well.
Okay. Thank you. Again, page 4 also shows $28,000 payment for Battery Power Incorporated for solar panels to charge battery to power cameras at ASR Wellfield, I believe. So,
Lake Bar Water Filtration.
what's the Lake Bard? Okay, Lake Bard. What is the ROI on this investment?
We will have to get back to you with that question.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And those only power the cameras?
Yes. On the same page, there's a payment of $5,600 to Cass Savan Consulting to update SPCC plans. How often are these plans updated?
We update them every 3 years.
Oh, every 3 years.
Yeah, or if there's a significant change in our processes.
Okay.
We do that.
Thank you. On page 10, there's a payment of about $43,000 to R.A. Atmore and Sons Incorporated. Clear weeds and meet the requirements set by the county fire department. Does this expenditure account for entire weed abatement or we have more work to do?
We have more work to do. Yeah, so some of that was utilizing a submergent to stop some of the growth on the face dam. And then some weed abatement, as you know, we have a lot of growth from this last rain, so there'll be more coming up.
Okay, thank you. On page 12, there's a payment of about $3,500 to Tyler Technologies for yearly maintenance of timesheets and associated licenses. What payroll software does Calleguas use? And why is the timesheet processing handled separately?
They're both Tyler products. One's called New World, that's the financial statements, as well as payroll. And then we bought ExecuTime separately before Tyler bought them. So it was two separate programs.
Oh,
And we just transfer the data out of the timesheets into New World where we process payroll.
okay. Thank you. On page 17, there's a payment of $1,200 approximately to Geotab USA Incorporated for vehicle telematics / GSP services. What services does vehicle telematics offer?
So it's not just the GPS, it also gives you maintenance data for vehicles. If a tire's low, if there's an engine light on, it gives you that information. So you're able to manage your services as well. Speed, anything that could happen with that vehicle.
It also monitors the speed.
Speed, location, turning, everything.
Okay, thank you. Last one is on page 20. There's a payment of about $8,000 to Water System Consulting Incorporated to prepare the urban water management plan. When will the urban water management plan be completed and furnished to the purveyors?
I have the email ready to send in my
Okay.
my outbox right now. We do want to give the purveyors a couple of weeks to review it before we put it out to the public. So yeah, it should go to them either tonight or tomorrow morning first thing.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sure.
That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you. You sure?
I have on item 6C.
Okay, item 6C, let's go.
I had a couple more.
Oh, you have a couple? Okay, go ahead, Director Roberts.
This is just for my knowledge. There's a couple line items for Prop 1, Round 1 deposit balance return. The way that reads is, I would assume it's something that returns, but it's a positive out. Can someone just explain to me what that is? I've got one on page 13 and one on page.
Take that one on. So when we did the Prop 1, Round 1, we collected money from the other participants that were getting money, grant money. We were in charge of KJ, where they were gathering all the information, gathering the stuff. And so we took money from them. We used the money as the invoices came in. There was money left over. We're sending it back to them.
Okay. I'm used to us paying the money and then getting it back.
Yeah, no, this one we collected up front. We do that with deposits sometimes where we collect it up front and then we charge against it.
Okay, thank you. That's probably it.
Okay. Good questions, everyone. Up next, we have 6C. I did read that one pretty thoroughly and seems like a big amount up front. But once you divide it, amongst all the radios and equipment that's being purchased, it's really not that much, but got the questions going first. Do you have questions on that, Director Robert?
I did, but only because I've been looking at radios recently.
Okay.
Can you just tell us a little bit about them and what they're for?
Yeah, so these are portable Motorola radios. The intention is to eventually phase out our existing two-way radio system, which is decades old, starting to get clunky, difficult to manage and maintain, and has spotty coverage throughout the service area. So this is in part of a use agreement with the County of Ventura. They have established this system, built out the infrastructure, and started to invite participating agencies and cities to join the network and use their infrastructure. Part of that is that we just have to get our own radios to use their frequencies and their network infrastructure that they have in place.
Okay, that's the interesting part I wanted to kind of go into. So it's a collaborative infrastructure system.
It is. It's owned, operated, and maintained by the County of Ventura, but every law enforcement agency in the county is now signed up to participate and use that infrastructure, along with other water agencies, and other special districts and cities.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a few questions. Are all public agencies part of this system?
Not all public agencies. As I mentioned, it's owned and operated by the county.
Right.
A lot of different county departments are signing on, including the sheriff's office. And then several other public agencies in the county have signed on to participate in the network.
And not all the cities within the county are part of this system.
Not at this time. They're still welcome to join. The county is inviting other public entities to participate. But at this time, I don't think all cities are signed up.
Yeah, I think it'll be great for our purposes because you communicate with everybody what's going on in any given area. That's a great system.
Yeah, it's really going to enhance our both day-to-day and backup communications. And it does open an opportunity to communicate with other agencies as well.
But everyone uses different channels, right? You just have maybe a list of who's on what channel.
Correct. Yeah, we would have our own talk groups for internal communications. And then part of the agreement is we can invite other agencies to have access to our talk groups and vice versa. So they may say, hey, we want to open it up to Calleguas to participate on this specific talk group. And then we would be able to communicate with that agency.
Can this be a part of a more of a fire coordination plan?
Fire hasn't signed up yet. They're still working on getting fire involved, but definitely an opportunity with the law enforcement agencies that are on board, as well as the county, and United Water is also on board. So as more water agencies sign up, it'll open that opportunity to participate in the water sector too.
So Calleguas will be buying 5 Motorola APX N70 and 45 Motorola APX N30. What's the difference between the two?
The N30 is currently the most basic Motorola radio that they offer. It's still very robust. It has the ability to communicate with every other Motorola radio out there. The N70 is an enhanced version that has cellular backup capability.
Cellular backup.
So in theory, if those radios had access to cell communications, it would be able to integrate with that network. And
Satellite also, only cell. Does it have a satellite too?
it has cell and Wi-Fi. It doesn't have satellite.
And both police departments on either side of us are members or not?
The sheriff's office is signed up, and Simi Valley Police just signed up as well a few months ago.
Oh, good. Because I know that sometimes there's miscommunication, so that'll bring both sides together.
Yeah, and it's still early in the process, but each agency is kind of working out the kinks and figuring out the best way to communicate with each other.
Okay. Once we get on the county system, what will happen to the tower that we have currently? What will happen to the tower?
The tower is still useful for several other applications. I know part of the camera system utilizes the tower for microwave communications. We also have a Metropolitan Member Agency Response System radio that utilizes the tower. So I don't think we'll be getting rid of the tower. There are other uses for it.
Right.
Than with this system.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure whether it's going to be used for other type of communications. The answer is yes, but mainly for the water districts.
Well, the MARS radio system is what they call it. It's the Metropolitan Member Agency Response System.
Okay.
That is a separate radio system altogether that we are a part of that gives us the ability to communicate with Metropolitan and all of their member agencies. So that's just a separate radio system that we do utilize the tower for that.
Okay, that sounds good. So is it possible to lease this tower for commercial wireless communications? In addition to this, we also have one electric pole at the intersection of Grand Canyon Road and Highway 118 that was installed by Calleguas when ASR field went in. That facility also has opportunity. What my thinking has been, if we can find ways to raise revenue, maybe we should look into that if board agrees with that. So the two questions I have is, can we look into offering this to commercial wireless, these two sites?
Good idea.
Great. No questions noted. And we're in the process of looking at leasing capacity for communications and a couple other areas. So we'll add that to the list.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good
Thanks, Daniel.
questions.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, Director McMillan, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Okay, and looking for a motion for the consent calendar. Move. Do we have first?
Second.
Oh, okay. It was Director Quady and,
Ladies, second, Director Robert? Sure.
okay. Director Quady?
Aye.
Director McMillan?
Yes.
Director Pacala?
Yes.
Director Robert?
Yes.
Director Avila?
Hi, the motion carries. Thank you. Up next, item discussion regarding the approval of health reimbursement arrangement for the Board of Directors establishment of an annual district contribution. Tricia, hello.
Hey, how's it going? All right, so Dan and I, we continue to remain invested in the development of these benefits that we've been working on for some time. There's definitely been some highs and lows going through the process with our third-party administrators. We've had great support from our special legal counsel, Assessor Law. We actually have Merit Assessor joining us via Zoom today. She's provided legal review of the plan documents and been our expert throughout the process and interpreting the laws and rules, regulations, all of these intertwining things that come together that make this process more difficult. So I'm grateful for her being here today to help answer any questions that may come up throughout the discussion. The last time we brought this to the board at the end of January, we were directed to move forward with the implementation of the group health plan HRA. So what have Dan and I been doing since then? He's been working on rates, but we've also been talking to HRA administrators. We've talked to 4 different potential vendors, and we did choose one to assist in the implementation process. So the highlights of the group HRA are on the screen here. If the board votes to implement this group health plan HRA, it will be retroactive to January 1st, 2026. That's great news. The major outcome from developing the HRA plan documents and working with legal counsel is that all directors receiving Medicare benefits will not qualify for this program. And this is due to the Medicare secondary payer rules, which we had talked about in previous conversations, but I'm going to throw them up here again for you to see. The primary goal of Medicare secondary payer rules is to reduce Medicare program costs, putting those primary payment responsibilities on other insurers. So with that in mind, Medicare secondary payer rules prohibit the district from offering any incentives to opt out of a group health plan that would provide primary coverage to Medicare. And since the district offers primary medical coverage through CalPERS, any option that waives this coverage for another benefit would be seen as an incentive. So in this case, the HRA is deemed to be a financial incentive to Medicare eligible directors that waive our district procured coverage. And unfortunately, violation of Medicare secondary payer rules can result in substantial penalties. So we don't recommend that. So while we've presented some new eligibility restrictions today, we are still looking for the board to confirm the implementation of the group health plan HRA because it does benefit some as an option. And to do this, we're asking that you authorize the general manager to sign the plan documents and agreements. And we are asking the board to set an annual contribution amount as well today. Definitely happy to take any questions and let the board discuss this item.
Okay, thank you, Tricia. Questions comes from the board.
I have comments, but no questions.
Okay. Anybody else? Comments? Sure. You have anything, Director Robert?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, what I was going to say was, we have had multiple discussions about this. And we have done a thorough review of options available to us. I'm in a position where I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, I think we've discussed this quite a bit already.
There's one size fit all option, unfortunately, but
Okay,
it's another option.
looking for a motion. Oh, public comment. We have public comment. Please raise your hand if you would like to make comment. Okay, I have no raised hands.
Okay, well, I make a motion. It's item 7, right? Yeah. I make a motion to direct staff to implement the proposed HRA for eligible directors retroactively to January 1st, 2026.
At the same rate as the lowest offered health plan. Right? I think that's what we had said before.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay.
It's, I'm sorry, I should have made a comment. I think it's a good opportunity to leverage outside healthcare that can reduce the overall burden to the district. So, you know, we'll get different benefits depending on what combination of directors have what availabilities over the long term. I think it's a net benefit policy moving forward, so.
An incentive for non-retired directors. Okay. We have a first and second roll call, please.
Director Quady,
Abstain?
Director McMillan,
Yes.
Director Kala,
Yes.
Director Robert,
Yes.
Director Avila.
Aye. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Meredith, for jumping on.
All right, up next, we have reports. General manager and staff reports, March 2026, water use and sales, Dan Smith.
Good evening, directors. Tonight I've got the water use and sales for March. We had a really good March. It was very dry and hot, so that shouldn't surprise anybody. But we sold 6,297 acre feet of water, and we had only budgeted 4,650. So we definitely beat our budget in the month. That also means that we are caught up some with the overall for the year, where we are now at about 54,500 acre feet, and we were expected to be closer to 55. So it definitely moved us up to within 1,000 acre feet of where we thought we should be right now. So that's a good thing. We're on pace right now for 73,500 acre feet of water sales, which is still below kind of where 75,000 that we originally had budgeted, but it's looking much better. So looking at the next graph, which kind of shows you where we are, you can see that the month of March comes way above that red line. So we definitely had a good month, but it makes up a couple of those ones we were short and earlier in the fiscal year. And same thing with the last 12 months. It really stands out significantly because it was really a hot March. Had a lot of really highs going on during the month. Looking at the metropolitan invoice for the month of March, you can see because we had all those water sales, we're looking at $9.6 million in sales. We did put water into the well field and Lake Bard during the month of March to the tune of $240,000 to get to the total amount of $9.9 million, which matches the Met bill. Our CRC and RTS, which we already have, we did collect some money for the LRP funds for both Camarosa and Camarillo, and had very little in program costs, conservation program costs to get to the $10.8 million metropolitan bill. Looking at the SMP for the month of March, I think that's probably also because it was so hot. They continued to use the desalters out there. So we had 76.8 acre feet of discharge. We had only budgeted 47. So again, we were well over budget, bringing us to 660 acre feet for the year. We're expecting to be closer to 561. So we're looking at very well be going over budget in a good way for the SMP discharge. Power generation, now this goes back a month, so this doesn't pick up all that water that went through in months. This is for February. We only brought $11,700 in. We budgeted $17,400, but overall, I mean, we're right at budget. So we're supposed to be at 433,000. We're at 433,000. So we're right on budget for the $600,000 at this point. Just to kind of run through some of the revenues that we've had. So we brought in 12.9 overall $1 million for potable water sales. Year to date, we're already at $105 million. Out of the $147 million budget, we're a little bit short. We're at 71.8%. Should be closer to 73 at this point. Recycled waters continue to exceed my budgeted projections. We're at 129%. And we should be closer to 75.7 at this point in the year. And SMP fees also it's higher than expected with the discharge increasing. So we're at 86% and we're usually closer to 70% at this point. And power generation, we're right where we expected to be. Can't get much closer than that. Looking at cash and investments for the month of March, we did decline a little bit in the cash. That really has to do with the spending that we did on construction. Construction's picking up. We have a few more projects going on. We're starting to spend a little bit more. So we're going to see cash drop a little bit when that happens. And really, that's all I have for water use and sales, unless there's some additional questions.
Questions for Dan?
I just have a comment. I think that sales versus budget, the line versus the histogram, I'm just kind of wondering if you could show volumetrically how beautiful that is in terms of volume, matching that line curve.
Yeah.
Line with the boat, what's coming in?
It's awfully close.
It gets pretty close most of the times. So
Very
it's
good.
just using a 10-year average really by the months, and we're very consistent on how we do the sales.
Okay, well, might ask you to ask about my future. Thank you.
I can continue that one.
Good job.
Everybody.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we have Las Bolsas Valley Basin Water Master in lieu program. Ian.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Good. All right, let's do it. Okay, so going to talk a little bit about a program that has been under development for about 1.5 years with Fox Canyon, who acts as the Las Posas Valley Basin Water Master, develop an imported water in lieu program. So the first question is, why are we doing this? Why is Water Master interested in an in lieu program? It's because it's mentioned in the judgment. So the judgment describes a couple different projects that have to do with using imported water to achieve sustainability in the Las Posas Basin. The LPV judgment requires that Water Master do a basin optimization plan, and within that plan, identify projects that can help bring the basin into sustainability by 2040. So the gap between where we're starting with the operational yield, which is how much water we can pump collectively out of Las Posas Basin, not including what we pump or we produce at the well field, but what people with allocation can produce in Las Posas is 40,000 acre feet. The groundwater sustainability plan, which forms the basis for the physical solution of the judgment, identifies sustainable yield as 32,000 acre feet a year. So there's an 8,000 acre foot a year gap, which is significant when you're talking about these numbers. So Water Master produced this basin optimization plan last June. It went through a stakeholder process, including review by the Policy Advisory Committee and the Technical Advisory Committee. As a reminder, Calleguas has a seat on that Policy Advisory Committee, and I sit in that chair. This in lieu program is identified as project number 2 in this, which really combines 2 projects from the judgment: importing surplus water and using Calleguas facilities for replenishment. Calleguas is not the only way to get imported water to the Las Posas Basin. You can do that by United as well, but this is the easier of the two because we have the infrastructure already. So through the basin optimization plan and the process with the PAC and the TAC, staff at Watermaster, kind of the community generally, put together these projects, the 9 projects in the basin optimization plan. They ranked them. They selected them for implementation during this basin optimization plan, which would be done every 5 years. And then they're including this in the modeling. So you can see 2 of the 9 projects went forward into the modeling. The top ranked project is purchasing imported water from Calleguas for basin replenishment. Greater detail on that is that it would supply water to these pumping depressions in the east Las Posas management area and the west Las Posas management area. These are the 2 problem areas of the basin that are, as it says here, exhibiting chronic groundwater level declines. Big reason this is ranked first is because both areas would rely on existing delivery infrastructure and would be limited to water purveyors with the ability to receive water from Calleguas. Short version of that is that if everything were in place, all the agreements were in place, and I'll talk about those in a minute, we could turn this on today, right? It's as simple as our purveyors who pump groundwater in the east and west, at Zone and Waterworks 1 mostly, 19 maybe, would just stop pumping and take more water from us, and you accomplish the idea. So we know that we've done this before. Basically what I just explained. We deliver water to a purveyor. We deliver enough water so they can stop pumping. And the water that they don't pump in the past went to us. And we started stacking groundwater credits in both the east and the west Las Posas management area. At the time that this started, there was a nominal fee of $80 per acre foot that went up over the course of the 90s and the aughts. To Zone was paying about $175 per acre foot when they stopped this program in 2016. So
Who stopped the program, Calleguas or Zone?
Calleguas stopped offering the project. So again, it was $80 there and went up to about $175. So this map, all the light blue dots are the ASR well field, or Calleguas wells. The other dots represent the purveyors that participated in the earlier in-lieu program over time. So that's Crestview Mutual Water Company, Solano Verde, Waterworks 1 and 19, Zone Mutual Water Company, and Barrelwood Heights Mutual Water Company. So 6 of our purveyors. We offered this also to Camarillo, Camarosa, everyone on the OPV. Oxnard and Fort Hueneme both participated. It was the same program. It was organized the same way. They're just off the map, and obviously they're not part of the discussion for this because they're not in the Las Posas space. And over time, we accumulated significant storage credits. As you all know, you see the storage credit listed in the MSR every month. We haven't produced any of the credits that we accumulated in the West Las Posas to date, but you can see we accumulated at about 23,000 credits in the East Las Posas since this program started in 96, and we've used a significant number of those, right? So we have put water underground and we have produced that water in the East over the course of the last 3 decades. We have a balance now of 6,300. And one of the advantages of this program and why everyone's pursuing it is because we know that it works. So this is a hydrograph of groundwater levels in the West Las Posas. It's the southwest. The little map that's inset. These are 3 different wells. So recording groundwater levels from 3 different wells in or around the pumping depression in the West Las Posas. Yes.
Just a follow-up on the question I asked before. Did Calleguas stop this in-lieu program for all purveyors or only for Las Posas well?
We've stopped it for all purveyors.
All purveyors at the same time.
None had. Zone went through 2016. I think the one Barrel was the one that dropped off before that, but no one had done it for a decade. No one else had participated for about a decade.
Okay.
And then There's the LPUG stuff and there was talk about adjudication. And we just,
Okay, thank you.
so this graph on the left goes all the way back to 49, and you can see groundwater levels have been declining in the West Las Postas Basin for decades. And then right at the bottom of that V is the mid-90s, when we started the in-loop program. You can see we delivered surface water. Those, that's really Zone and Waterworks 19 laid off their pumping. Groundwater levels rose in that area of the basin. And then right around 2009, this is when we stopped the program for a number of people and started producing again. You see water levels start to fall again. So that bottom black graph is the deliveries that we made in lieu. And you can see the correlation between people stopping pumping and taking surface water instead of extracting groundwater. There's a pretty immediate and definite benefit.
Oh, yeah.
To the tune of about 2,000 acre feet a year of deliveries over that 15 or so year period, achieved about a 90-foot increase in groundwater levels.
What's interesting is the angle at which the water levels rose are the same rate or angles as they declined initially, and then almost very similar to the same decline after the fact.
Mhm.
The same rate of change. Curious.
It is. It's because a lot of the kind of per well, these are the participating wells in the in-loop program. Zone and Waterworks are pretty big pumpers.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why Watermaster is focusing on these areas, because they can have a large impact.
Yeah.
If someone's irrigating 20 acres of avocados and they want to produce, it's not going to make a huge impact overnight. If you're producing cumulatively 2,000 acre feet a year, that's a big chunk.
So it would be only our current purveyors that are in that aquifer,
The Las Postas
the
Basin.
Los Postas Basin, who would be participating in this?
Yes.
So only our purveyors, so we wouldn't be having anybody else that we would be making deliveries to?
Correct.
Okay.
So thank you for the segue. How this would work is similar to previous in-loop programs. Calleguas would deliver water to the purveyor so they could stop pumping. The water that they didn't pump would be available to go, but in this case, not back to Calleguas, but to the Watermaster. The big difference between previous in-loop programs and this one is that Calleguas would be charging the purveyor full freight for that water. So, and not just the tier 1 rate, but what we're calling the in-lieu rate. And Dan's going to talk about what goes into that in a minute. But it's really an attempt in a 1 year per acre foot basis to capture all the capacity charge and RTS costs over what is normally paid a 10-year rolling average in a single year, so that the counting's easier for the Watermaster and for the purveyors that want to participate in this program. So we would charge the purveyor the full rate, and the Watermaster would make them whole. What they would pay them is the difference between what we're charging, this in-lieu rate, and the purveyor's cost to pump groundwater. So the purveyor is going to the Watermaster is going to figure out what do the purveyors need to do to demonstrate what their average per acre foot cost to pump groundwater is. They'll subtract that from the in-lieu rate, use the basin assessment that they collect from people who have allocation in Las Postas Basin, use that to fund the purveyor to buy this water. So this is essentially Watermaster, through this complicated situation, purchasing in-lieu water so that groundwater allocation remains unused and converts to basin benefit.
Okay.
And the net financial impact on purveyor is the same as pumping.
Exactly. Yeah. So that left green arrow on the bottom is intended to make the purveyor whole.
Yeah.
Because no purveyor is going to participate in this program if they're going to lose money. And we have had, at the beginning of this, when we first surfaced this, we had a couple purveyors that were in other basins say like, well, can we get that option? And the response was, well, if you get a Watermaster to fund the difference between your pumping costs and our water, like we'll be happy to do it. But I don't know if that's worth the trouble. We surfaced this, Dan and I presented this to the purveyors at our last purveyor meeting. And there were a couple questions, but there doesn't seem to be any more concerns about it from purveyors in or out of Las Posas Basin. There's still a lot to be, there's still agreements to be figured out between purveyors and us and purveyors and Watermaster, but we're heading in the right direction.
I thought the agreement would be between water master and the purveyor. Now you're saying Calleguas is part of the agreement?
Well, if we're gonna be charging them an this in lieu rate, we're gonna have two separate, we're not gonna get in an agreement with Watermaster. We'll have to get in an agreement with the purveyor and then there'll be a separate agreement with
Okay,
Watermaster.
separate agreement.
Yeah. We're limiting, no, it'll be between us and,
Yeah, so the Watermaster wouldn't be one of our purveyors.
no.
And is that by design so that we don't have a direct link to the water master for whatever reason? Because wouldn't it just be easier if the arrow went up?
We would prefer to collect money from our purveyors.
Oh, okay.
Not
Just
from
clean it up.
Watermaster. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the outstanding questions and some of the analysis we did was, as you all know, we charge a capacity charge, same as Metropolitan charges us. And we charge that capacity charge during May 1st to September 30th, right? So the non-capacity charge period, sometimes referred to as shoulder months, so the lower demand part of the year. It would be cleanest, easiest, and cheaper for purveyors, essentially for the Watermaster, if we did this program in the non-capacity charge period. Watermaster wanted us to analyze both capacity charge period and non the whole year to get a sense of how much water we were talking about, how much the cost difference. So it's really, can we achieve the aims of the program using just those shoulder months? So really October 1st to April 30th, or do we need to do the whole year? And the difference is, so this top line is the whole year, middle line is non-capacity charge pumping, capacity charge period pumping on the bottom. The bottom line is we can get about 4,000 acre feet a year in the non-capacity charge period. So that's, if you remember back to an early slide, that's half the delta between the sustainable yield and the initial operating yield. Pumping the last 2 years since the judgment's been in place has been less than 35,000 acre feet a year. So one of the questions before Watermaster and the public is like, do we really need 8,000? Are we really going to get up to 40,000 acre feet a year? And also there's likely differential benefit by providing water to these pumping depressions. So that if we can essentially fill these holes with imported water, you may not need as much cutback across the basin. So water, again, I'm not going to say is worth double, but water in certain places can be more valuable to achieving sustainability on the metrics we're looking at than kind of water anywhere. It's also quite a bit of money, as Dan's going to talk about. And I think the appetite does not exist for spending $8.5 to $9 million a year right off the bat amongst the people that are paying it.
Yeah.
Which is what this would be. So Dan's going to explain how the in lieu rate would work.
Before we get into the numbers, if I can ask, where did this very interesting, complex idea come from? Where did it originate?
So it was included in the judgment as a project to use imported water.
Who came up with it from the judgment?
The lawyers, of course.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
I'm impressed. It's very creative.
So we've used the in lieu program, and again, we've used, in lieu's been around forever. We've done it, they do it all over the place.
Depression benefit and
So all of that has come out of this last 18 months.
just a collaborative.
Between us, Brian Bondi and the Watermaster, we've been kind of tooling on this idea.
Yeah, it's very impressive, and it's not something that would just be like, oh, this is one of our options. It's multifaceted and high benefit to, well, for most, it's not a direct like input and output benefit. There's ancillary benefits that are interesting. So I was just interested to see who was the clever individual, but I guess it was a group effort.
I think it's over a period of time it was developed, especially by doing the modeling work.
Yeah.
Calleguas has done modeling for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
The Las Posas Basin. So they have very good understanding of everything that's going on.
Yes.
That's a foundation. Then
Yeah.
in the last year and a half, everything came together.
And that's a nice note to see that, sometimes just doing the right thing for the sake of data and monitoring and all that, you don't see the benefits for decades, but then you come up with something like this and it allows you to be able to make these complex but beneficial.
That's 30 years. You know what I'm saying?
You were paying for it.
Thanks.
Yeah, and Dan was the genius behind the 1 year in lieu rate. And part of that is because it's to make our lives easier, but it's also purveyors like Zone Mutual Water Company. They don't take water outside of this in lieu program. And that's why they got it turned out in the first place. They're not going to take water from us except for this in lieu program for the foreseeable future. They don't want to sign up and get on a 10-year rolling average. They also don't want to have to, for the next 9 years, get like a smaller and smaller number of dollars from Watermaster every year. So purveyors are going to be more likely to participate if they know that Watermaster is just going to do some calculations and send them one check at the end of the year to make them whole.
Right. And the other thing is that we want to make ourselves whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna ask, is there any more questions about the program before we get to the financial aspect of the program?
Neat graphics.
Thanks. Yeah.
No, I think I needed some back graphics for this.
Yeah, on that last slide though, I was a little disappointed that I have the coin stacking up. Like the first one.
It's because they're all coins stacking up.
The coins, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the important thing is too, to make sure that we're getting all the money that we need off this too. And again, we developed this in a way, and some of these numbers are right off the water rate sheet that you're going to be, I'm actually going to probably present some of these in future presentation, like in a few minutes, as we go through the Met stuff. But the tier 1 rate is the tier 1 rate. And these are the most recent rates. Actually, I updated this today from what happened yesterday at Met. So we have the tier 1 rate. We've also got the RTS rate, which is pretty simple. The RTS rate is going to be based on what we're projecting for sales. So we just take the amount that we're out to pay Met, we divide it by the number of acre feet that we have, we come up with an RTS rate for it. It's pretty simple stuff. We're also working on developing how do we incorporate that into the payments by the purveyors for the RTS, because we're not going to overcharge for the RTS. And we're coming up with a plan for that as well. So we're ready for this if we do move forward with it. You can see we're also starting to add in the new fixed treatment charge that's coming along that we're doing as part of the cost of service study, as well as the other operating charge that we're doing, which makes us to the 80% recovery of our fixed costs. So we're building all that in, and that's going to get us to that total rate that's for the October through April, which is outside the capacity charge rate. And then if the water master decides that they want to take water during that special May through September timeframe, we're going to develop a rate just for the capacity rate. And it's going to be a little different than what we've done for what we show the purveyors, because the purveyors, we again divide it by the total sales for the year, because for them, they're buying water throughout the year. When they get to the end of the year, they're like, okay, how much did I have to spend per acre foot? And so they use their entire year. But for this, we're going to take how much are they selling? How much do we sell during that little time frame? And it's about 52% of our sales happen in those 5 months. So I take what we're projecting for sales by 52%, it's like 38,000 acre feet. So I take what we're looking to collect for the capacity charge and divide it by 38. So we're going to be adding a $231 acre foot in 2027 to the rate. So in that time frame between May and September, it would be a larger rate than they would have to do outside the capacity charge. So they're paying all this money up front, and then we're not going to include them in the RTS calculation or the capacity charge calculation when it comes time for us to divvy out those multi-year allocations. That all kind of makes sense?
Yeah.
Good.
So assuming this program will move forward by Watermaster and Calleguas, this calculation will be done every year. There'll be different number.
These rates?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably develop these rates at the same time I develop all the other rates. So I'll start making, here's the regular rates for all of our purveyors, and here's a rate just for the in lieu program. And we'll have it set for this time period and this time period, 2 separate time periods.
So we're having this presented to us now. Has the water master and the GMA had a chance to review all this already?
So the Water Master Board has not, so they've been briefed a little bit on it.
Okay.
But we wanted to get it through the purveyors, make sure our purveyors were not going to object. And we wanted to get this through an informational item to our board before we went in front of the GMA board.
Okay.
So there are a couple other steps, and just as to wrap up, that this program would essentially use the purveyor's current year allocation in the Las Posas Basin as a transfer from the purveyor to the water master, to the basin, right? It would not impact, one of the concerns that people have is that it would not impact the water right or a subsequent year's allocation.
So I'm looking at the whole equation and making sure that we've talked about every aspect of it so that it makes sense to everybody. All right, so the water master is paying the differential cost of us to supply water for an in lieu to eliminate water depressions and pumping. Why would the water master do this?
I think because they're required to by the judgment. They're essentially have said in the groundwater sustainability plan, which forms the basis of the judgment, that this is what they're going to do because they're required by state law, Sustainable Groundwater Management Act of 2014, to bring these basins into sustainability.
Yeah. And the funding that the water master puts into this comes from where?
Comes from the basin allocation, which they collect from anyone that has an allocation is recognized by the judgment in Las Posas.
That allocation they pay to pump goes to the water master. Would those allocations decrease due to the lack of pumping?
So one refinement and then an answer is that they pay on allocation, irrespective of whether they pump it or not. So if you've got 100-foot a year acre foot a year allocation, you owe that to the water master in 4 quarterly payments, whether you use it or not.
Got it.
Allocations are supposed to ramp down, according to the judgment, between 2 years ago and 2040 or reaching the sustainable yield. They have postponed that ramp down because it took a lot of time to get a lot of these studies going and to get stuff up and running. So they've postponed ramp down a couple of times. And one of the questions now is, do we really need to start ramping down if we're using so much less than 40,000 acre feet a year? And if we can spin up some of these other projects, perhaps we don't need to ramp down as much. So let's kind of have a wait and see adaptive management plan to it. So either way, Water Master is going to get its money to fund this program. So whether you're collecting a little bit less on 40,000 acre feet a year or a little bit more on 32,000 acre feet a year, Water Master's got its budget and they just divide it by whatever allocation they're at in that water year.
I just wanted to make all the coins.
Yes. And as a reminder, Calleguas has no allocation. So we do not pay a basin assessment. This ramp down, this project, sustainable yield does not impact our ability to store water or extract water from the ASR project. And we had some small allocation prior to the litigation, prior to the adjudication, because we're a landowner. But we essentially gave that up as part of because it wasn't worth defending because it was 3.41. I mean, this is a small allocation. So we don't have an allocation. We don't pay the basin assessment. So it's not like we're going to be paying into this and trying to figure out, follow our money through that complicated. We just are going to, the bottom line, I mean, what Dan's going to see is that if this happens, is that sales increase. Right. And we have to do a little bit of different accounting to pay for 12,000 acre feet based on this.
So when we talk about water masters paying, really the pumpers or purveyors are going to pay and the farmers pay. They're the one really paying, water master collecting,
And I assumed there wasn't outside money coming in, but I wanted to make sure that we draw the lines for everyone to make sense of it and, I think it all makes sense. It's just the restrictions on where we can take money and I mean, accept money and issue water and we found a way.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
So my question was about the allocation basis again. I think you said it already, but I didn't follow. Was it based on a 2-year or a 10-year or?
So the allocation was set during the course of the adjudication process. So the groundwater sustainability plan identified sustainable yield as 32,000 acre feet a year.
Right.
Ish, right? And that was essentially what sparked the lawsuit in the first place, is that pumpers out there thought that was too low. They didn't like that. So they sued. Through the course of the adjudication between phase 1 and phase 2, I wasn't around them, but what I understand is that there was some number, 36,000 was the kind of the negotiated number coming out of phase 1. And when phase 2 started, it was 40,000. You know, the GSP is intended to be a scientific approach. Litigation is a negotiation, right? So they were negotiating over a scientific approach and ended up with 40,000 acre feet. How that sausage was made, I wasn't around for.
So of the 40,000 or 36 of the users, what is their allocation?
So
The ones that get separately charged, isn't there?
just to give a sense, pumping out there in Las Postas ranges from 30,000 to 45,000. It's rarely above 35,000. So 40,000 should be a good place to start, give you some buffer to figure out projects, right? In terms of, so today, based on that 40,000, individual pumpers aren't constrained, especially because the first 2 years of this judgment were really wet years. And so people didn't pump anywhere near their full allocation. And under the judgment, they're able to carry some water over. So everyone's sitting kind of fat right now. So people, you know, how it impacts individuals. I mean, how many, 1,500 pumpers out there? And each one has a different allocation based on how much land they have.
And that's what I was trying to get at, is how was their allocation decided?
So it's based on land. Yeah, sorry.
Based on historical, I believe, right? Wasn't
No,
it
he said
historical pumping?
You said land.
Can you help me with that?
It's a combo of both.
I think so too. I think it's a combo of how much land you have and what your historical usage was.
And you may have covered this and I may have missed it, but do the pumpers that are participating in the in-loop program have a limit to what they can, the amount of surface water that they can take?
Well, they have a limit to how much they're going to get reimbursed by the water master for, and that's their allocation.
Oh,
Water master is not going to
their allocation.
right. They're not going to up to the difference of their allocation. Right. Water master is not going to fund more than that.
I imagine not, but I just didn't.
Yeah, no, fair question. And I don't think that the pumpers are going to want to fund even close to that, at least in the first couple of years.
Mhm.
So again, this is to reiterate, the all-in cost is intended to simplify water master repayment and administration, both on their side and our side. There's no impact on our purveyors. Whether you're participating in this program, whether you're in Las Postas, whether you're in Oxnard or Port you're not going to be impacted by this program. We're going to consider, this obviously would come to you, to the board in the future. Calleguas is considering defining in-lieu water as being available only during that non-capacity charge period to simplify things. You can see that you saw the cost difference. The cost difference is really an issue for water master to determine, but it makes sense to us in conversation to limit this to the non-capacity period. We can discuss that when we get feedback now, we can discuss it more when we bring it back.
If they wanted, just really quickly, if they wanted water during that capacity period, would we still give it to them?
Well, they wouldn't be able to take water at that in lieu rate.
Okay.
So that would be that'd be in the agreements that we would make with our purveyors, is that you can't. So if they wanted to do it, then they would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as making it available only during low demand periods, my thought is, especially we don't know how the weather behaves. We don't know when we have surplus water unless we have rainfall. We don't have surplus water from state water project. Maybe we should have both available if they are willing to pay higher costs, if the pumpers are willing to pay higher costs and water master is going to collect it, what do we have to lose? My thought is have it available, especially we cannot control the weather. Maybe 2 years, we have 1 year only wet weather, we do all year round.
Or their
They're willing to
needs.
pay.
We don't know the weather or their needs because their situations.
Exactly.
Their businesses or what may be different.
On the other hand, you know, climate change does happen and say we move into another drought and we start getting all the restrictions again and moving to a lower allocation with the state water project, how will that impact this?
Well, that's one of the things we haven't fully discussed as staff as part of this definition, but my initial thought has been that we would not make this water available if we were in a water shortage contingency plan stage, right? To your point, if we're limited on state water project, we're asking our customers to cut back, we're not going to be making water available for recharge.
Yeah,
in
and
the same year.
that's what I wanted to get at, and that should be part of all these conversations we're having with the surveyors to manage expectations.
Makes perfect sense because there's no water. Why would we even do
Yeah,
the water? And this is a hydrogeological, it takes over a period of time.
Yep.
1 year is not going to make a difference. If it's a drought, we don't supply water.
And the idea is to put water underground when it's available so that
Exactly.
we have it to use.
But I think we should manage expectations. Yes, that's kind of what I'm getting
This
at.
is a way to put water in the ground faster during excess than what we currently can do.
All right.
Good. Send in just agreements are not yet drafted, but based on the feedback from today, I think it's supportive and we can go forward with talking to the purveyors individually and working with Water Master. Good, that's it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm going to present on an alternative opportunity for us and how we do our pipeline inspections. And that runs in line with maximizing our efficiencies and look at cost savings as we move along with our programs. A little bit of a delay. Let me get this. Okay. So we have 26 miles of PCCP pipe within our water system. The red line shown there, that's our 78-inch feeder, and that's about 9.5 miles. The blue line that comes down from there is the 66-inch, and that's about 2.3 miles. So that section right there totalizes close to 12 miles of pipeline that we would normally inspect. And then the lower feeder, which is the yellow line, which is the 51. And that's 10, almost 11 miles. And then the brown colored line, which is the 48, is another 2.38 miles. So then that section comes out to 13, close to 13.5. So the purple area that's on the left-hand side, that's the Tierra Rojada feeder. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Smaller section, it's about just over 2 miles. But because of the incline of some of those pipelines, we can't inspect that line as far as being able to get in there and crawl up that incline. So we're going to talk about the conventional approach to inspecting our pipes versus this new technology. It's called Pipe Diver. As you can see on the conventional side, we have to dewater and you have to enter the pipe to utilize the instrumentation. And Pipe Diver has a free floating swimming device. So on the conventional approach, annually we can do about 2 to 3 miles of inspection. And it takes us about 14 days from start to finish to be able to complete that. The 250,000 that you see there annually, those are contractor costs. There are some, more labor intensive requirements for this. Some of it's permitting. We have to do traffic control. There's discharge permitting as well. There's a lot of isolation and dewatering of the water mains. And also for the time that it takes to recharge that and purge everything through our air vacs. So that takes about 14 staff members, 2 weeks to complete, start to finish. On the conventional approach, that also impacts our purveyors, those areas, because we do have to shut the lines down and dewater them. So this is a sequencing checklist that shows what we have to do pre and post entry. And some of that is communication with the purveyors, looking at areas of access for the manholes, dewatering points, areas that we have to get discharge permits, or types of equipment, confined space, where we can bring ventilation in, how many manholes we have to open up. And there's equipment and a lot of other things, but this is just to give you an idea of some of the things we have to go through to be able to do a conventional entry into our pipelines.
This all for one?
I'm sorry?
This all for one event?
That would be for one event.
That's why it's 14 days.
Yeah.
And that's the 14 days is just, let alone that there's months of prep ahead of time, getting this stuff ready.
So in discussing the pipe diver technology, it is a free swimming condition assessment. It uses ultrasonic and electromagnetic technology. It effectively inspects welded steel, pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipe, and bar wrap pipe as well. It collects data, so we can look at an informative approach of what type of maintenance needs to be done, repairs. It can look at the wall thickness losses, distinguishes between the internal and external damages, and wire breaks. When you look at this tool, the front cone section is the capture, but there could be a camera on there as well as it swims down the pipe. The veins that you see is to keep it centralized or centered inside the pipeline. The two middle areas, that's where you have your ultrasonic and electromagnetic sensors. And then the back portion is a battery compartment. So the longer it needs to be in the water, the more batteries that they can add to that. So with Pipe Diver, you can get a lot more done. You can do 10 or more miles in a day. It takes 1 day to complete those 10 miles. Cost is about 1.1 million. And we'll do a cost comparison and slides coming up. And the process still requires traffic control because we have to go to the manholes and put sensors so they can track the device as it moves through the pipeline. But we don't have to enter. There's no isolation. There's no dewatering of the pipes. We eliminate the recharge, air purging. So staff, it only takes 6 staff members 1 day to complete 10 miles, and it doesn't impact our purveyors. So we don't have to shut anything down. So in going over the cost of the pipe diver, everything is, the first 2 miles, you have a set fee. The corresponding charges go by the longer areas that you decide you're going to inspect. There are two there's 2 fees in there that doesn't matter how far of a pipeline you want to inspect, whether it's 2 miles or 10 or 15 miles. That is the setup charge, and also the inspection condition assessment engineering report. And the setup charge is really putting in all the sensors to be able to track it, and then the insertion point and the capture point as well. And then they build the device or put it together on site and disinfect it before they insert it into the pipeline. So in comparing the two, as you can see on the conventional, we can do about 2 to 3 miles per year. And that cost is $90,000 to $125,000 per mile. It does take 14 staff it takes 14 days and 14 staff members to complete that. But in the 14 days, that cost is about $86,000. So if we were to do 10 miles, we're looking at over $400,000 in staff hours to do that amount of work. It does require the isolation and dewatering, and it's about $3,400 per mile of water that we have to discharge. It does require personnel to enter in a confined space as well as the contractor. And then our purveyors are going to be disrupted during that time. Now on the pipe diver, we're able to do 10 plus miles. It's about $110,000 per mile. We can do that in one day and utilize 6 staff members. And then that's at a cost of $3,000 total. There is no entry and no impact to our purveyors. So when you look at our inspection schedule, what we're proposing is the 48 and the 51, and that's a little over 10 miles. And then the following year, we would look at the Tierra Rojada feeder, which that's the one that I mentioned that was in that purple zone that we aren't able to get in there and inspect conventionally. And then we would move forward to the 78 and the 66. So ideally, we want to try to get everything done in 5 years. The pipe diver really allows us to do that because when you look at a conventional approach, sometimes you can get to it. I know that we had a little break in our inspections, mainly due to COVID and, hard to catch up. So this gives us that opportunity to stay on track every 5 years or a shorter period, and then look at what we need to do for maintenance along the way.
Wow.
Question, in the analysis of the pipe diver versus the conventional method is exactly the same?
Yes.
Got one question. Total miles of the 48, 51, 54, 78, and 66. I think you said at the beginning.
The total miles for the 78 and the 66 is 12.
In all of them over the next.
26 total miles.
Okay.
What we have to inspect.
And the cost savings per mile, I think you said?
Well, I'll break that down.
Yeah, it's
right. Because if you look at it per mile versus labor involved.
Yeah.
So
okay.
The overall cost to do 10 miles on the conventional side is closer to.
Oh, because of the event cost.
And the labor.
Yeah.
And the amount of labor.
Average over per mile.
Yeah.
I'll let you keep going then.
Okay. So we are exploring competitors, and one of those is Insight Water Technologies and also Pipeline Inspection and Condition Analysis Corporation. They do offer the similar free swimming device technology, reporting and analysis as well. There is another one out there. We are engaging with them to try to figure out how much of an area or how far of an area they can do as well. And then we would put an RFP out to all of them and see what kind of competitive bidding we would get from them.
It's fantastic. There's competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, everything kind of birthed from Xylem, and people kind of went out on their own, created different companies, improved technology, kept technology. So there are competitors.
So you can put out your requirements and the district's needs and send it out for bid. You might get better prices, right?
I would hope so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This is just kind of our first communication since we have a relationship with Xylem. We just reached out, but.
Yeah. They're probably.
Of the 3 technologies you're looking at, when they provide us the detailed inspection report, in the report, would they tell us the existing pipe has a vulnerability? It may last 5 years, 10 years. Would they give you that type of information?
I'll ask Fernando if they provided that type of detail.
Yeah, so one of the data pieces that's provided in that report is a number of wire breaks in our PCCP. And over the last actually iteration that we did inspection on Unit 1 of the North Branch, Xylem also prepared what we call risk curves, essentially creating a threshold for how many wire breaks that specific design of pipe in its current condition can sustain, how many wire breaks it can sustain before action is recommended. So the report will provide number of wire breaks, and Xylem also is now providing a risk curve associated with that specific design pipe. So two pieces of information for the district to evaluate when it's recommended to make either a replacement, a rehab project, or continue to monitor.
Who does that analysis during the conventional method?
Xylem does that.
So still, okay.
Yeah, Xylem continues to provide us again with water breaks and now the risk curves for the pipe.
Great. I mean, the method where we would dewater and then inspect.
The report is, yeah, the technology in the report is identical. It's the vehicle that it's on.
Okay.
So a decade ago, it was.
I thought we were doing.
Wheel, kind of 4-bike wheel push erector set thing, and it's gotten smaller, and now it's on a wand. And now they've got it so it can swim without people.
Did you have additional slides before we keep moving with questions? Right there, right at the end.
Great.
I just wanted to make sure. I have a couple questions, pretty easy ones. And, you know, I look at the original method that we used and it's dewatered. The system is rolling around in there. Yes, it has batteries, but if the batteries fell, whatever they discharge isn't going to be flowing downstream of the purveyors. What safety measures are in this new device that, you know, protect from battery failures? Say the battery does fail and that water is still flowing to our purveyors with that hazmat in the water. So how is it protected? What safety measures does it have? How would we pull this out quickly before you know, critical failure?
So one of the things that we have to look at is areas of capture. So when you're doing a 10-mile stretch, you can only have, normally you would just have the 1 point of capture, kind of with we do with the smart ball. If the battery were to fail, the battery housing, we would know it because we would lose all communication as far as being able to see what's going on. How would we capture that?
Safety, is there temperature sensors? Because I don't believe it would fail right away. It would start overheating before it would fail. And then it would go into a critical failure. But I'm guessing there's probably temperature sensors on that thing, right? And I'm just curious, you know, because those lithium batteries, when they fail, they get pretty bad.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we can ask if there's a primary and secondary housing for the battery. Obviously it needs to be wet sealed and they are going to spray chemical on there for disinfectant. So I would think that there's a robust housing on there. So we can find out more.
I guess it also depends on what kind of battery.
Yeah.
And what kind of contaminants it could put out. And I thought you were going down the line of like containment and mitigation. If something happened, can we shut off somewhere and then dewater and sanitize and clean and test and
in an emergency, if we were able to define something, yes, we would quickly identify any purveyors going to be impacted, isolate any laterals going over there, isolate that area, and then try to figure out how we're going to capture that.
And a contractor that offers a service, I'm sure, is insured for such scenarios, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a couple more questions, but I'll get back to the board.
Well, I just said before they even put it in the water, they have to go through a process of disinfection of the item.
Correct.
What I think is amazing is the speed. I understand everything goes down to cost and all that, but I mean, it would just be so wonderful to be able to advance the look schedule. You know, I think that would be really something because, you know, you read about all these breaks in LA and stuff. It'd be kind of nice to be ahead of schedule instead of having to drag it on and say, well, there's this place, but we can't do that right now.
Great.
this is over the next 5 years.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Speed.
The inspection schedule is over the next 5 years, I think. I remember.
Yeah.
So if it's 1 day versus 14, 5 times 14, I mean, we're inspecting so much more, so much faster.
We are.
I hadn't even put that together.
You could condense that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what normally would, you know, take us 5 years to complete, it's going to take us 1 day to complete.
It's incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
In a section that large.
Wow.
All right.
Ding, ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, on top of which is Omar mentioned, the Tirahata portion
Yeah.
that can't be physically inspected because it's
Yeah.
the angle of the pipe.
So I just want to say, you know, I'm just asking some questions I think important, but I think it's incredible. I think it's very beneficial and a good thing for the district. Has this, I'm guessing this has been used. Do we know any other agencies that have already used this and proven it? Shows that.
Yeah, Metropolitan has used it, Long Beach has used it. So that's kind of where we found out about this new technology. My predecessor looked into this quite some time ago. However, it was still pretty new. So we were able to dig that back up, open communications and
Great.
now see how advantageous it is.
That's all I had. The rest of the board.
Where is the company from?
Where is our,
They're out of Canada and actually inside another competitor, they're also out of Canada. And as Omar was mentioning, it started with the Xylem company, and since then, some of the engineers have moved on and have started their own companies, and now there's more competition. But two of the those companies are located in Canada.
Canada.
But Xylem is they do a lot of inspections all over the world. When they do metropolitan inspections, PCCP, they do the Central Arizona project. I mean, they have inspections and they have live telemetry inside of the Central Arizona project, which is the largest diameter pipe in the world outside of somewhere in Kenya.
Okay.
So Xylem, and we've used them for years and years and years. We're happy with them. We appreciate their reports are good.
Well, I'm glad you see.
People have a lot of faith in them.
So it's not like this is a new technology that we're prototyping. It's fairly well established and robust and they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. And again, it's the same technology. It's just the vehicle has advanced. Moving that down the pipe, the vehicle's advanced to the point where you don't need to empty the line anymore.
Okay,
Do
start.
you have any questions? Director McMillan, do you have any questions on this? All right, well.
No, it's a great presentation. Good work.
Thank you, Omar.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, up next, I'm gonna call for a quick 5-minute break. And we'll be back at 5:31. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting back into order, and I'm gonna kick it off with Jennifer Lancaster and the water supply update.
All right, get this into presentation mode. Sorry, there we go. Good night or good evening, directors, and I'm going to give a water supply update that kind of sums up this wild winter that we've been having. So I think the last time I came here to give you a water supply update, we had just had all those rains and storms and things at the beginning of the year. But now this photograph here shows Phillips Station, which is the location that the Department of Water Resources does their monthly snowpack readings during the winter months. And it was covered in snow when they were doing their January, February readings. And this is what it looked like on April 1st of this year. So we hit that wonderful milestone in January where the whole state was drought free for the first time in 25 years, but we didn't stay there for very long. We're already moving back into a good portion of the state being ranked as abnormally dry, and some is even moving into the moderate drought. And we just expect that to continue through the rest of the water year. So precipitation wise, we're really, as a state, sitting at average. So we're at like 98%. But most of that precipitation, or a good amount of it, actually came as rain, or what did come as snow started to melt way earlier than it is quote unquote supposed to. So this is showing where the snowpack is right now at April 1st, which is typically supposed to be the peak of the snowpack and really marks that transition between accumulation of snow and then it begins melting off, and it kind of serves us through the summertime. But that very warm March that Dan was talking about in his report really started hitting that snowpack hard. So you can see that by April 1st, we're down to 23% of where we typically are at this time of year. but the reservoirs are in great shape. So they're sitting at 121% of average, but we will, as a state, be drawing on those reservoirs quite heavily, I'm expecting, through the summer and into the fall. So this is just an Instagram post that DWR put out after their April 1st snowpack reading, which essentially found no snow at the Phillips station where they do this media event. And these graphs just illustrate the huge swings that we can see from year to year in terms of the amount of snow that we get and the amount of water that is associated with that snow. So just going back to 2023, you can see how much we had, and then it's just been going down until now we're sitting at 0. So that's that weather whiplash we talk about, but we also had that weather whiplash not just between years, but within 1 year, kind of from month to month, going from really wet and stormy December and January into record-breaking heat in March. So looking at our watershed, this we got a lot of rain and did really well on that. We are at 134% of average for the Calleguas watershed, which is actually 125% of what we typically get for an entire water year. So we did get a lot of really good precipitation. Again, Dan might think that's not as good because it translates to lower sales, but it has been lowering our demand some, but now as we're kind of moving into the warmer months, that should, again, begin picking up. Here's temperature. So if you kind of average it out, it is right around normal, but you can see in the March timeframe, we had several days where we either were right up against the previous max mean temperature or we exceeded it. So now looking at the NOAA precipitation and temperature outlooks, both for the shorter term as well as the seasonal outlooks, the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook gives a little bit above average chance for us to have some precipitation here in California, Southern California, in the next 6 to 10 days, with the temperatures being forecast to be right around normal. But moving out into the seasonal from April, May, June, it looks like we are pretty near normal, equal chances for precipitation, which is typically not a time that we accrue much precipitation anyway. But the more important thing is here, we're trending above average. So it's likely going to be a pretty warm summer, which tracks with the El Nino phenomenon that they are starting to see develop. So to summarize, the statewide precipitation is right about average, but we have very little snowpack leading us into the summertime. Lake Oroville is sitting at 94%, which is 124% of where it normally is at this time of year. So the Table A allocation remains at 30%. And again, this is a point at which Metropolitan can meet all demands unconstrained using State Water Project and their other sources of water and their storage and other programs. So this El Nino, which you undoubtedly have been hearing about in the news, is the likelihood of it is increasing. So an El Nino, of course, occurs when the warm water that develops around the equator in the far western Pacific Ocean, instead of being pushed further west, the trade winds kind of flip and push it back toward us. And so that kind of brings this big glob of really warm water toward us, releases some heat into the atmosphere, and warmer atmospheric air can hold more moisture. And so as it hits into the West Coast, that's where we tend to get more of the precipitation. Now, this El Nino or Enso phenomenon is not the only thing that dictates our weather patterns. So this is always couched in probabilities. But right now, the models are indicating that we have about a 62% chance of developing an El Nino this summer. And actually, as you go in toward the fall, the models are getting more and more confident into like the 90% range. Now that, again, only increases the odds that we could have a wet fall and winter. It doesn't guarantee. Some of the most recent very wet years have been technically La Niñas. You may have also been hearing that the super El Nino phenomenon may be also happening this year. And whether it's a regular El Nino or a super El Nino really just depends on the deviation in temperature for that water in the Pacific. The warmer it gets and the further away from the baseline, the more intense the El Nino event is. And actually, from what I understand, that is the stronger it gets, the more it actually really is correlated with developing these atmospheric rivers and things like that. So right now, the models are showing that there is a solid chance of a super El Nino developing this year, which we really wouldn't see the effects of until fall and winter for sure. But these models at this time of year tend to be lower confidence. So we will know more as we get into like June, July, and kind of see where the ocean temperatures are at, how everything is happening. That's going to give everyone a better idea of what to expect coming up in the fall. But it would be nice if we did get some precipitation in the form of snow this year. Help us with that snowpack that we didn't get very much of this year. So that's all I had for the water supply update, and happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Do we have questions from the board? A great update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, up next, we have Charlotte Hollifield with the 2025 year-end review.
Good evening, directors. So each of your seats is the 2025 Calleguas Year in Review. This is the second year we have done this publication. You may recall it originated at the suggestion of Director Robert in 2023, and it has become an important recap and a time capsule, if you will, of the district's achievements in the last calendar year. So External Affairs is the lead on designing and producing the report with input from all departments, and we have several goals for this publication. One is to demonstrate progress on the district's strategic plan. Two is to showcase district staff and how they contribute to Calleguas' mission every day. And three, to inform stakeholders and the community at large of the work we're doing on their behalf and what it takes to bring a safe, reliable water supply to our service area. So we mail a hard copy of the year in review only. We don't do digital to our purveyors, elected officials, media outlets, community organizations, and regional partners. So it's well over a couple hundred individuals. And we've gotten positive feedback from folks who have seen themselves in it. So we know that they're actually reading it, which is great. And then while I'm here, I just want to point out Calleguas Currents, which is our latest newsletter. Wanted to give you an update that we ran some analytics today, and we show that we have about an 80% open rate. And we also show that people within organizations are sharing it with other people in those organizations, some 6, 8, up to 16 shares within organizations. So that's great. I think it shows that we have value news that people want to read and they want to share. So within Calleguas for the newsletter, we do add extra content with our staff and some of their milestones and achievements. Both of these publications are available on our website. Kat will be posting on social media later this week about them. And of course, nothing could be accomplished without my partner in External Affairs, Kat Arendt. She has done a phenomenal job on both publications. So we hope you enjoy these publications and we'll keep them coming.
Yeah, they are incredible. You guys have done a very good job. Very useful to show all the work that everyone's doing. So, questions or comments from the board?
Well, very well done. It's impressive the way it's put together. Good job.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you very much.
really nice to, we see all these things one at a time throughout the year. And they always, a lot of it makes sense and it's beneficial. And once you put it all in one place, you can look at it and go, wow. And I think it's great. I got an advanced copy, or I got a copy earlier. I sat home looking at it and I'm like, wow, we really do all this stuff.
Great. That's the point.
Thank you, and please extend our gratitude to your staff on behalf.
Great content.
Certainly will. Thank you so much.
Okay, up next, we have our executive strategist, Henry Garmlick, and our metropolitan update. And Dan.
Henry, but
Hello, Henry, welcome.
I do have a piece of this.
Good evening. I always tell Dan that I like having him stand next to me. I think it increases my credibility on. But tonight we have a metropolitan update and a lot has been happening. Just to review, last time I talked to you, we had a preview of what I thought were the big issues that were coming up in Metropolitan. It's really not a surprise. Reliability and cost are always the big issues. If you wanted 100% reliability at any cost, that would be something you could do. If you wanted to keep rates very, very affordable and didn't care whether your system was reliable or not, you can do that as well. So the art of water resources management is to find that balance. And all of this is taking place in a continuing structural uncertainty due to the variation in source, which Jennifer represented so well in the water supply update. So what happened? Yesterday, Metropolitan had its board meeting to adopt a budget. And much of what we had anticipated came through, this balancing act. So the original proposed budget was $900 million for CIP. To include grant and carryover, the current appropriation is $1.1 billion, with the current budget and rate setting set at $875. So what you see is the board brought it down a little bit, but that's still a substantial investment. And in total, I remember when $1 billion seemed like a lot of money. It still is, but we're also facing some huge challenges that are going to cost a lot. Staffing is always a touchy issue. And what happened here was the board challenged the general manager at Met to try to reduce the staff positions, but with a real focus on operations and maintenance. Because it doesn't help to invest in your system if you don't have the people out there taking care of it. So the increasing focus on O&M is a good signal to be sending. Pure Water Southern California was really kind of the wild card in all of this. And what Metropolitan decided to do was to increase the funding over the previous proposed budget by drawing from unrestricted reserves. So the increase in funding allows Metropolitan to take full advantage of the federal grant, which requires a match. So they were able to do that. And they did it without increasing the rate by drawing on one-time unrestricted reserves. Okay. Local resources, the existing agreements continue to be funded, and they will continue to evaluate local resources programs, but there are probably no additional monies to be budgeted over the next 2 years because a new proposal would take a while for the agreements to get settled up. But that program is still out and available. The average rate is at 6.2 based on all of these proposals. That's down from a 9.5 initial budget projection that we received in February. They will continue to look at conservation at its current funding. The newly adopted reserve policies and sales assumptions, I say they remain as adopted more or less, because initially the board had become a little wary of one-time draws from unrestricted reserves. But in this case, it was something that was able to be done in order to keep California pure water on track. And property tax was increased with very little discussion from LA or from people that have normally opposed the increase in property tax. And then the big question about, well, how are we going to maintain future reliability in terms of cost for pure water versus Delta conveyance versus Sites Reservoir is going to be evaluated over the coming year through the CAMP process. So how did this all come about, right? Because at the last workshop, there were 3 alternatives. And what happened was there was a consensus proposal in which Municipal Water District of Orange County and the San Diego County Water Authority got together and tried to pull their proposals together. And that resulted in 2 proposals. One that the only difference was how much extra funding Pure Water might receive. But then at the actual committee meeting, there was a surprise. So Director Miller from San Diego had announced this new consensus proposal and threw in that he would like to sell 2 of Metropolitan's 4 Delta Islands. This has long been a concern for Director Miller. He is a shrewd businessman, and his point has been that if we continue to have expenses on these islands and no return on investment, it's a bad business deal. His proposal was moderated by the request that Met staff come back with a marketing research report to see what value might be gained by putting the Delta Islands up for sale. So overall, it was a unique and innovative consensus proposal. No one on Monday was expecting the Delta Islands to come into play on Tuesday. So it must have been a busy night at dinners down at Met. But here was the big surprise. The budget and rates were passed with a unanimous vote.
Wow.
This is certainly the first time that has ever happened in my 17 years of working with Metropolitan. Historically, I don't know. I imagine sometime like back in the 20s, it was being founded. They probably had an agreement on voting, but it's really a testimony to the hard work that the directors did and their willingness to work together. And I think also the leadership of Chair Ortega. He's a very shrewd board chair, and he knows how to inch different parties and different interests close together. Always keeping in mind his own interest as well. So what does that mean? So I think at the end of the day, what we see is we see a balanced consideration for investment in maintaining the existing system with affordability. The fact that we have the volumetric revenue source being shifted somewhat over to additional property tax is good for the long-term sustainability of Metropolitan. They're taking a close eye on existing conservation and local resources programs. And Pure Water is going to continue. They have assembled quite a team with the grant funding that they had. So to be able to finish up all the work that they have done thus far, I think is probably a good thing. As I always say, whatever the board agrees to do is always the right answer. So I think we can go with that. But it will be something that at the end of 2026, the end of this year, Met staff is promising that they're going to bring together an evaluation of Pure Water along with the other options for long-term reliability. But what we're seeing is this kind of shift to incremental decision-making. And that is really a big shift from just a couple of years ago, when it used to be kind of, is it going to be Delta conveyance or is it going to be Pure Water? What's the one answer that's going to take us all the way out to the future? We don't know what the future is going to be. So making these smaller decisions and with an eye to the future and an eye to investment seems to be a good way to go. Structural uncertainty. I can't leave this report without mentioning that the Colorado River hydrology is very grim.
Yeah.
There was a committee meeting of One Water that projects that the runoff into Lake Powell is going to be as low as it has ever been in the history of the Colorado project. So that continues. There's no consensus among the basin states as to how to proceed, but that worsening condition means that the federal government is anticipated to take actions in order to protect the Glen Canyon Dam in Lake Powell in order for its structural integrity. And there's the potential as the elevation drops down that the generating power at Hoover could be reduced by up to 70%. So this is kind of an ongoing rolling crisis, if you will, and is going to require continued innovation and partnerships in order to address. So with President Avila's indulgence, I would turn over and make sure that our Metropolitan Director, whether she has anything to add on the Metropolitan update. Jackie, are you there?
I'm here. It was an excellent update. And just to do you one better, Henry, you know, I've been involved with Metropolitan for 35 years. And this is the first time I too have seen a unanimous vote on the budget. So that just shows how hard staff worked, and as well as the member agencies with all their input. It's really an applause for everyone all the way around. So it was a good day yesterday.
Good. Wait, there's more.
Oh.
So that finishes my part. I'll take some questions, and then Dan is going to tell you what the implications are for Met's budget setting on Calleguas's rates.
That was an incredible update. But questions from the board, Director Quady.
So the size of the Metropolitan Water District budget, is local resource money still significant?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of, you know, it seems like if you even cut it, you can only cut it a little bit, and how much are we talking about? That's not very large in terms of the whole pie.
Yeah, so it's a relatively small amount. There are some pending agreements. We know of one. We went to a groundbreaking for Los Virgenes Pure Water. They have an agreement that works, and they anticipate that they will get it approved. But there are not a lot of projects out there at this point for local resources. As Met's rates increase, that will continue, but recall that the local resources pays the delta between the cost of the project and Met's current rate, right? So it's a incentive. And as long as it's cheaper for Metropolitan to provide water through local resources, I think you will see that there will be interest in that program. The longer term consequences is every time that Metropolitan incentivizes local resources, it also means that it may be a reduction in sales to them. Mm-hmm. It's not unlike situation in the Calleguas.
Yeah, when we promote conservation.
Same with conservation, right? So it's a balance, right? But I think part of what is great to see is that with the increased ad valorem, which covers a portion of the state water project costs, you see trying to find a more sustainable financial basis to keep the entire system running.
And you mentioned metropolitan infrastructure budget is 1.1 billion.
CIP, yes.
So if I recall, last year also they had more than $1 billion, correct? Last year budget also?
I do not believe
It's
so.
a 2-year budget.
300 million.
$500 million a year.
Oh, it's a 2-year budget. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the clarity.
Yeah, so it's a bargain. Yeah.
When you put it that way.
Thank you, Director Bupil, for chiming in. Any other questions?
Thank you, Henry. great update. We appreciate all your hard work.
Oh, I'm frozen.
Oh, you closed my. I'm sorry, Dave.
Henry was dying.
Sabotage. One more thing that I do have is
Don't give up, Jackie. It's technical difficulty.
I can talk as long as you need.
We know.
I just want to mention, I think I've talked to a number of the directors individually, but to address you as a group, I have submitted my intent to retire date for October of this year. And so it was nice to have the last metropolitan budget be unanimous. I can't take total credit for that. But anyhow, it's something that is making, I may have to talk longer, David.
Henry,
When I started in this business.
you have done incredible. I've enjoyed all your reports. And on that note, we took a motion already and we deny your resignation.
Okay, well, then we'll have some future discussions on. I think Dan is going to be able to pull. There we go. Saved by the presentation.
And I can get it back. So these are a couple of slides from the Metropolitan. This is what they did adopt. You can see that they did the 6.2 for the next 2 years. And going out, I put the slide on there because going out, they're looking at 7s for the 2 years after that, and then 6.5s and down to 5s in the 10s. But once you start getting out that far, it all becomes questionable. I mean, just for the record, I mean, when they put out 2 years ago, these were supposed to be 11% increases. So the 9.5s were actually less, and I'm happy to get it down to the 6.2 per year because that's more of a reasonable thing. And then they did give us the breakdown also of like the more detailed of where the actual rates are going to be. You can see that the overall full cost of the treated water is going down by 7.1%. But that's really because they're taking a lot of their treated costs and putting it on a fixed charge. So that's why that decrease is there, coming in a different area. But overall, you know, the rates didn't move that much with these, the bottom, the fixed charges didn't move that much. Now, it's a lot of numbers on there, kind of complicated, but let me show you kind of where we are and how it affects us. This is my own little spreadsheet of the net rates. So you can see that their full service charge went down by 7.1% for this year, but there had some very large increases in the capacity charge, the RTS. That didn't go away. They're still looking at some very large increases there. But when you combine those two, they get to a 4.6% rate increase for us, not 6.2. And that has a lot to do with some of the decreases that were coming on the treated water. So it did actually go down. You can see on that top section up there, where last year the treated water cost went up by 12 point some percent. This year overall, it actually did decrease by 2.2. So that's what is causing it to go from that 6.2% average down to our 4.6. And for the 2028, it's going to be a 6% increase to us when you combine both the fixed and the variable rate of Metropolitan. So both of those two are two very manageable rate increases coming from Metropolitan for the next 2 years. And because I'm actually going to be bringing this also to the purveyors, I'm going to make sure I'm sharing this with the board before it gets there, because we do have a meeting tomorrow, but like a week from now, where I'm going to be kind of starting to show them where the rates are going to be at. So overall, our increases, and this is where it's going to kind of get crazy. And when you look at the Calleguas, the MWD per acre foot rate, that's both operating and construction, it's going up by 71.4%, which looks crazy, but really it's because we're picking up that Metropolitan treated water fixed charge and putting it on our variable rate. So because we're not passing it through as a fixed charge to the purveyors in 2027, it's what we're talking about with the cost of service study, that 5-year phase-in plan. Year 1 is 0%. So we're putting all onto the variable rate, which makes that look kind of weird. But as we go along, we start phasing into the fixed charges. You can see the next year, we're going to decrease by 13%. And that's because we're taking some of that charges that's sitting on the variable rate and moving it down to a fixed charge. And down below, you can kind of see some of those fixed charges because I've broken it down into the met capacity charge, the RTS. And you can see that the met treated charge, is zero as a charge for the first year. And then it goes to $30 an acre foot for the second year. We've got the Calleguas capacity charge, and then we also start putting an operating charge on there also, which is us trying to get to that 80% recovery of our fixed costs as directed by the board as part of the cost of service study. So you're going to see that some of those fixed charges are going up. You can see 23% for the fixed charges going up, 31%, almost 32% in 2028. But overall, that second one that's highlighted, you can see that our combined all-in rate for 2027 is only going up 5%, with our increases included. And in 2028, we're looking at a 5.8% increase. So all of the rates for the next 2 years are looking pretty normal compared to what they were when we first started this process. And we were dealing with 9.5% rate increases for Metropolitan. So overall, it's all good. And again, so for Director Quady, you can see those green boxes at the bottom. Those are what I'm estimating for water sales for the next 2 years, for this year and then the next 2 years. I am looking at decreasing our water sales in 2027 down to 23,500. That's currently we're on pace for this year. And I'm kind of thinking that it could be that we're talking about El Nino, which means it could be wet next year. I don't want to be budgeting too much water sales and have it fall really short. So I'm kind of looking at a more conservative water estimate, but it's not that far off of where we are this year. So anyways, in order to get to these per acre foot for all those fixed charges, I'm just taking that total fixed charge and dividing that by what I'm projecting as water sales for next year. But overall, we're looking at some pretty normal rate increases for the next 2 years.
So we are looking at 5%, 27 and 5.6, 8%.
5.8.
Could you also please show next 10 years based on Metropolitan projections?
Get to that. By the 29th, but I haven't got the actual breakdown of Metropolitan's rates. The only one I have is this one here, which doesn't give me the detail I need.
Okay.
For me to really put it into my system, because I put it in by the tier one rate, the tier one rate for Metropolitan, and all of their fixed charges have individual rates that I need to plug into my long-range finance plan.
Well, it's clear that 10 years is too far away, but at least it gives an idea.
Yes, and as soon as I get that, I already have it for like when they did the 9.5s and 9s, I could easily do my 10-year projections. But right now it looks really funny because I really have detail on the first 2 years. And the year after that looks like they're doing a 17% increase because I don't have the information. These are average numbers. As you can see, just because they put down 6.2 doesn't mean we're going to be paying 6.2. We get lucky this 2-year cycle because they're less than the 6.2. It's 4.1 and 6. But there are years when the treated water surcharge went way up where they were saying, hey, we're only going to do like a 2% increase on everybody, and we're like at 10. So we got to wait and see where the numbers end up.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Dan. This is great news compared to what we had received before.
Yeah.
And
with Henry working.
It's all because of Henry.
Henry working his magic at Metropolitan. We were able to come to some consensus and bring some of this down.
Have you taken Henry's absence into your calculations for the future?
No.
Okay. Just a data point to consider.
Right. So coming up steps, we've got the program meeting coming up on the 23rd where I'm going to start putting more of this in. Hopefully I can get those 10-year numbers from Metropolitan and really kind of give them a little bit of an out picture as well. I'll be coming to set the public hearing on the 29th where I'll be talking about this again, giving a lot of this information, and hopefully we've got some 10-year information to be able to project out a little bit further. And then we'll be adopting the rates on July 1st at the July 1st meeting in July.
Pretty good work. Great job. As usual, great work. You've done incredible and we appreciate you.
Henry,
any questions or comments from the board? All right, Director McMillan, do you have anything? All right. Thank you, Dan. right, item 8 from report moving to the end of the meeting. Up next, do we have a general council report?
A report this evening.
Next up is board of director reports. Do we have any committee meeting reports?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Engineering.
All right. Sorry, I'm looking at my list. On the 6th, we had the construction and engineering committee. I have my notes with me. But I'm completely drawing a blank. I'm sorry, I was thinking about something else.
Fernando, would you be able to give us a quick update?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Directors. So yes, as Director Robert was mentioning, we had our engineering and construction committee meeting earlier this month, and we did review the 5-year CIP program and discuss the various status of all the projects, those that are in design and construction. And in addition to the 5-year CIP program, we also discuss the various pure water projects that are under consideration at the moment. Anything else to add, Director Robert?
No, that was, you're correct. There was a lot in that committee meeting, and that's why I'm drawing a blank. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, there were two program presentation. One was a 5-year capital project. The other one was the pure water project.
The ocean desal.
Ocean desal.
Yeah.
So the alternatives, the ocean well, sea well, and some of the.
There's a lot of good information. Director Roberts asked that we send to all the directors. You have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation for both.
Thank you for that forward.
Yeah. And also,
There was a lot.
yeah, we went through every capital project and it's a good presentation from our engineering manager. I did bring up at that meeting that in the future meetings, I would like to look at some ways of how to reduce costs, like leasing land or some other options. I'm sure staff is going to bring back those in the future meetings.
One of the overarching takeaways was that we're invested in alternative water sources, but not necessarily pushing one specific actor. Because we feel that it's an overall direction to the betterment for the arena, if you will, rather than just a certain player. So, but that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to the whole board, because that seemed like a larger decision to be a part of. Thank you. I was completely drawing a blank.
Great. All right. Thank you very much for that update, Fernando, and committee members. Up next, we have director's list of admin code reimbursable meetings. I do note that Director McMillan has dropped off, it appears. I don't know if she's having technical difficulties, but we'll get started. We'll go over here with Director Quady.
It's on April 10th, attended the pure water groundbreaking, which was great. 4:13, I met with the GM, and on I think that's it for 4:15 tonight's meeting.
Director Bacala.
Yes, I attended April 6th, engineering and construction meeting along with our chair. On April 7th, I attended Ventura County Special District Association along with Director McMillan, and our general manager was there too. And Kat was also at that meeting. On April 9th, I attended Waterworks District 1 Citizen Advisory Committee in Moore Park. On April 10th, I attended the Pure Water Project along with our president and McMillan and Mr. Quady, Director Quady. And our general manager was there, our deputy general manager was there too. And today's board meeting.
Thank you very much, Director Robert.
Since our last board meeting, now that I have some notes, on the 7th, Oxnard City Council meeting, on the 13th Metropolitan's Engineering Operations, 14th Board of Directors, and tonight's board meeting.
Okay, thank you, Director Robert. Okay, I'll go next. At the last board meeting, I didn't give a great update. I don't have my notebook with me. But on the, I'll go back a little bit. On the 25th, I attended the Simi Valley Chamber Legislative Affairs. On the 30th, we had a Aqua Board closed session. On the 1st, we had the board meeting. On the 7th, I came in to sign documents with staff that I needed to get going for contracts. On the 8th, I had a Aqua Policy Committee Chairs meeting. On the 13th, this Monday, I had a great meeting with Ventura County Waterworks District, Greg and Paul, talking about all the work that they're doing and a little bit of getting to know each other better as districts. I also asked them, just like I did with Simi Valley and Golden State, to at some point please visit our board and come tell the board a little bit about your district so we all get to know the purveyors a little bit better. On the 10th, I did attend the Pure Water groundbreaking with Las Virgenes and Triunfo, and tonight's board meeting. And Director McMillan did not come back, so we'll move on. Do we have a discussion regarding upcoming meetings to be attended by the board? Director McCollum.
Yes, I'll be attending the Waterworks District 1 CAC meeting. We'll be reviewing the sewer rates and sewer budgets for upcoming fiscal year, calendar year. Sorry, fiscal year. Thank you.
Tomorrow I'll be attending the Conejo Las Virgenes Future Foundation as a director. So I will show up late at the symposium. And then we have a Aqua closed session on the 17th.
Yeah, for myself, I'll be traveling to Sacramento tomorrow to attend I have a meeting with staff for committee items the morning of the 17th, followed by the board meeting. So I'll be traveling tomorrow and I'll be coming back that same night after the closed session. And that is all I have. Do we have a request for future agenda items?
I have an item, actually, 2 items on administrative code.
Okay.
I'd like to have staff bring items section 210B and 210C. These both sections, the administrative code, relate to directors' communications with the management staff and also some limitations on 4 to 5 hours of research time. I'd like to have those discussed at a board meeting.
Okay. Good. Anything else?
That's it.
We have board member comments. All right, no comments. You know what, let's do we want to do the information items now or after the tour? I think we talked about this earlier, Walt.
At some point, somebody, the board has to come back after the tour. And
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you can just come back in and adjourn and deal with those now, or you can.
Okay, let's deal with those now. Has everybody had a chance to review all the information items?
Yeah, I did.
Great work on those.
Absolutely, great work.
Some good letters.
All right, do we have a need for a closed session?
No.
Okay, that case, we're gonna
Actually,
pause this now. We're gonna go for the tour and.
there is a quick presentation before we start on the tour.
Okay.
Good evening, directors. All right, so a quick few minutes just to go over some background on the Lake Bard floating maintenance dock. Excuse me. So want to point out that the dock was, let me just reduce here something on my screen. The existing dock is approximately 70 5 feet long. It was originally built in the 1980s. We guesstimate. We don't have any engineering drawings or record information on the dock. And it is used to perform various O&M duties, including perform water sampling, apply copper sulfate for algae control on the lake, inspect lake aeration system, and also to sample and inspect for invasive mussels. So the dock is approaching in its end of useful life, and also it is a bit unstable when staff is walking on it. It's also pretty narrow for efficient loading of the various materials and staff onto the boat that's used for the various activities that I just mentioned. And it's not suitable for long-term mooring of vessels, which means that our O&M staff has to launch and recover the boat every time it's being used. So with that, we will be looking at the following next steps. I will be distributing a capital project evaluation form for the board's consideration and scoring and ranking for a future capital project. And in the future, we'll be agendizing the request for a new capital project and capital project budget for this board's consideration. So that's a little bit of background. So now let's go ahead and take a field trip to look at the dock.
Great. Go ahead and pause here. And we'll be back. go ahead and call this meeting back to order. We got the tour of the current pier and looks a little dilapidated, so we're gonna go with staff recommendation and look at a future project there. And with that, very